3 quick and easy ways to 2x engagement on your viral posts or your followers, your post reach. This is also how you can put your threads growth on automate. Prerequisites. This is highly recommended because it just won't be as effective. And that is that you post it at least 100 times, not including comments and replies. There's no loophole. And that of those 100 posts that you have posted, some of those were listicles or list posts, and some of those were long form posts. And that will make sense why in a second. Let's get stuck into this. We have our 3 different ways of repurposing posts on threads. First, expand a list post into a long form post. Turn each list item into its own separate thread in a long form post. So this is a list post. I will be turning this post into a long form post and convert it, repurpose it during this Loom video so you can see how I do that. So we'll get to that later. But what I'll basically be doing is, these are the 5 phases. So the first phase, what the fuck is threads? I'll turn that into its own separate thread post within a larger thread post. That is the first way to repurpose a post on threads. The second way is to contract a long form post into a list post. You reduce each thread to a list item in a list post. Maybe you caught on to what I've done here with this post that I posted 2.5, maybe 3 weeks ago, and it is currently my pin post. And it did pretty well. Basically, what I did 1 week ago was just take those 7 things and turn them into individual list items. And as you can see here, they both did pretty well. Power of repurposing. What we're doing here is we're being efficient with our content creation. And I'm going to go into some reasons why we should repurpose towards the end. Hopefully you can start to get a feeling for why this is such good practice. To be honest, I've only started doing it in the last month or 2. And I wish I had started doing it earlier. Anyway, here is a concrete example. This is the long form post, and you can see likes. The goal is to get eyeballs on your content. Replies, I turned replies into don't post and ghost. And then repost versus quotes. Repost boost post more than quotes. Shorts versus longs. I turned these into 2 separate points. Short form posts get views, long form posts get followers. I deleted embeds, deleted tags, swipes, and I turned that into 2. Swipe right on posts you like, swipe left on posts you don't. And that was it. I just turned most of those points into dot points in a separate post. And as we saw, they both did really well. But that is contracting a long form post. And then our third way to repurpose a post on threads is to simply just repost an old post. And this is when we go and edit and improve an old post. Case in point, I posted this 38 weeks ago, and then I edited this old post, improved it, and posted it as a new one 1 week ago. As you can see, the new one did better. 38 weeks ago at the time of recording was November, and that was a golden era of engagement on threads. Even though I've 2.5x'd my following since then, the amount of engagement is not that great, relatively speaking. Point being, it still works, right? I have distilled the essence of all of this stuff and just kept the meat, the juicy protein. I've also reformatted it so that we're starting with our shortest bullet point. We say dot point in Australia. Bullet point first, the shortest one first and the longest one last, just so it looks more aesthetically pleasing. Essentially just saying everything here in this new and improved version, but in half the amount of space. So it's easier for people to skim. Pro tip, this is just to get the creative juices flowing in terms of how you can really capitalize on repurposing. Let's say you post a list post like I did here. Then we expand that list into a long post, which is what we're going to do soon. Then we repost the list. So what we've just done is gotten basically 4 posts from 1. That is why Threads is so powerful, because it is a place for testing ideas, not perfecting them. You throw a bunch of shit at the wall, you see what sticks. This is an example of something that stuck because it did. Now it's been validated. So I don't want to get my hopes up, but my hope nonetheless is that when I expand it into a long post, those ideas in that list post are already validated, that the long form repurposed version of it will also do pretty well because, again, we've already validated the idea in the short version. Hopefully this one does well. If it does, then we've got 2 great posts that we can repost later on by posting the list one as a new post and then the long form post as a separate long form post. That's what I mean by getting like 4 posts just from one. And you can do this in any way, shape, or form, right? That is not the only way you can do it. It's just probably a way I would do it to make it the most streamlined. As you can see here, what I did is I posted the list and then I reposted the list. And then what I could do in the future is expand that list into a long form post and so on. Hopefully you see what I'm getting at here. So a few FAQs. You might be wondering, isn't this cheating if I repurpose? It feels cheap and lazy. It's not cheating and it's not cheap. It is lazy. But remember, a prerequisite to doing this is at least 100 posts, and that is probably on the lowest end that you'd want to be. I wouldn't suggest you do it if you haven't posted 100 times. The point is, it is lazy, but you only get to be lazy because you've put in the work to create great posts in the past. It's a matter of getting your reps in before you get to do this. At least I personally feel like I've done my reps and I get to do this now. Your best post will be lost on your feed forever if you don't. To me, that's really upsetting because I've spent a lot of time creating posts. Another reason, most of your followers don't remember what you post. Just let that sit with you. You will put so much effort into these posts, some days more than others. And I can tell you right now, like 99.9% of people who follow you won't remember 99.9% of your posts at all. Trust me. The few who do remember appreciate seeing your best content again. We are human beings who appreciate familiarity. We associate familiarity with good. New followers appreciate seeing your best content because they didn't see it the first time. Also, you are using already validated ideas to grow on threads faster. With this one that I turn into a long form post, the essence of that long form post is this list post, and this list post is already validated. So what we're just doing is getting more value for money on threads. Also, what else have we got? This is the most important one. You're building a library of greatest hits you can repost on repeat in the future. And this is really the ultimate goal. Build your library of greatest hits you can endlessly repost. So in theory, you never have to write another post again, if that's your thing. What do I mean by this? Let's say in 1 year's time, I have built up a library of greatest hits that numbers like 1,000 posts, maybe 1,150. And there are 365 days in the year. And that 1,150 roughly equates to 3 posts per day. If I have a library of 3 posts per day of greatest hits, I can literally just schedule them on repeat for an entire year, every year, forever. That's why I said if that's your thing, because that might not be your thing. You might not want to put the entire thing on automate and just focus on engaging, or you want to continue posting new stuff. That's absolutely okay. But I just mentioned this as an example to show you what is possible here. That's that. That is why you should repost. Please get this idea out of your head because it is a fixed mindset and it's not going to help you grow. That is what a growth mindset is for. Then we've got how long should I wait until I repurpose a post? Again, there is no wrong or right answer here, but a general rule of thumb is 1 month. Note that I am pushing the boundaries by repurposing this list post from 1 week ago, but I wanted to repurpose this one for this learn video. What else have we got? Maybe another one is, you might be wondering how many times can I repost? If you're not, I am, so I'm going to put it there. You can keep going if you want to. It really does come down to frequency and intervals. If I post the same thing 5 days in a row, that's probably pushing it. But if I post the same thing once a year for 10 years, probably not. It does come down to the intervals of posting and the frequency by which you post. But again, general rule of thumb, 5 times, you see what I'm saying. And finally, final FAQ is how can I easily find posts to repurpose? This is the best way I've found and explained in this tutorial, which I will link in this tutorial notes. But basically, you create a free Metricool account, and that is an affiliate link. Then you connect your Threads account if you haven't already. Scroll down to lists of posts, and this will show your best posts over the past 3 months. Note that you got to get a paid subscription to see your posts that were posted 3 or more months ago. But depending on where you're at in your Threads journey, 3 months is good enough. That's why I personally recommend Metricool, because you can get really everything you need just on the free one. That's also why I recommend it, because if you do want to get more, you can upgrade and you'll get the full suite of data, which is pretty cool. As I said, check out this timestamp from this tutorial to see what doing these steps looks like in a separate link. Okay, so that is all of that. Now let's go to turning this into a long form post. We're just going to post it. So look, this will be at least personally, I think it'll be a pretty boring part, but I've heard some of you say that you actually like watching the writing process. If that's you, continue watching. If that's not you, feel free to stop watching the video now, go and start reposting content based on the 3 different ways that you can here. I'll see you in the next tutorial. But if you're still with me, let's repurpose this thing. What I want to do is make sure I'm hitting those key points of proof, promise, and plan in my hook, which is everything above this line here. That refers to a past tutorial I've done that went through a framework for the perfect hook, and that came from Hormozy himself. What I've done here is I've gone through the plan, which is we're going to go through 5.5 phases of a Threads creator. That leaves promise and proof. Now, sometimes they don't need to be explicit. I don't need to explicitly say, I am a great Threads creator, and that is why you should listen to me as proof. It could just be, for some people, maybe they've already seen the amount of engagement with a post that's already posted, and that is proof enough. Sometimes people might see a blue tick and think that is proof enough. It depends on the person. So now I'm currently trying to figure out what is the proof that I want to incorporate here. And the other one is promise. So I'm saying the 5th one changed my life. Is that explicit enough as a promise to the reader to show that they're going to get value from this post? I'm not sure, because I'm still figuring that out, and I just want to show you a realistic representation of what this would look like for me if I was doing it without recording it right now. All right, I'm going to go with this just so we can wrap this one up. I'm going to leave this one here as the promise, and I'm going to hope that it is sufficient as an implied promise. By saying 5th changed my life, I'm implying the 5th might also change yours. It's an implied promise. Here is my proof. I followed each one to grow from 17 to 5,895 followers in 1 year. And here is the plan of 5.5 phases of a Threads creator. Now, I am going to go and add this stuff into Threads. I'll post it and I'll link it in this tutorial lesson. If you would find it useful to see me transfer this content into the little text boxes in Threads before you post it, let me know and I'll be sure to do that in. I hope you found this useful, and just a very brief recap on those 3 ways that you can repurpose a post on Threads. You can expand a list post, you can contract a long form post, and you can also repost an old post. Do that and you can create your content library over time just to unlock whole new levels of growth. So that is it from me.